Benz. Nigga, where am I going? Drop the four with my cup, now I'm floating. I can't feel a thing, to be real, I just go through the motions. Where am I going? Nigga, I'm in deep like the ocean. I've been in my bag, everybody around me, I'm ghosting. Where am I going? Drop the four with my cup, now I'm floating. I can't feel a thing, to be real, I just go through the motions. Where am I going?
We are going live to another episode of HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching live or you're checking us out, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, checking out the YouTube channel. Appreciate you. This is the show that values time and puts God first. So with that, let's get started. So listen, we're going to talk a lot about Wemby. We got a take of the week at the start of the second hour that we're going to get into. But instead of just totally having the show dominated by Wemby, who, by the way, that's what the future looks like in the NBA. Last night, you saw what it looks like. The best player on defense, the most impactful player on offense, just dominating a game to the point of you have a guy who is making other NBA professional athletes look like they're kids out of high school. It looks like you have the one adult who's supposed to be supervising everybody, playing with a bunch of kids, and he's blocking shots. He's getting up whatever shot he wants. He's bullying people. Uh, it takes a lot when even Shaq comes out and goes, man, I really like watching this guy play. Shaq they were talking about it last night on the broadcast, where Shaq gives credit to nobody. Shaq doesn't like watching people. Shaq doesn't so the fact Shaq was giving credit to him, props. That is also, by the way, the guy I want to start today with is why Nikola Jokic, your time as best player on the planet, while it has been a prolific run, while it has been a incredible run, you have 3 MVPs, you have a title, you have been the unanimous next guy for a sustained period of time post LeBron James. This is why that title, it's on the line. And it's without question, it's on the line. Look, Jokic is a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players you've ever seen. Everything about him is absolutely incredible. We know this. What I also want to emphasize with Jokic is because we know that's coming down the line, you can't lose a first round series to Minnesota, even though you're down, now that Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo are out. This isn't the series you can lose. I was going back and forth with Will and Tony a little bit, and they're like, well, Jokic is no longer the best player on the planet. He's, according to Tony, he's not even top 2 anymore. It's Shea is clearly better. Wemby is clearly better. Look, Jokic, I've got my own way of how I evaluate Shea, and while Shea's accomplishments and his accolades are obviously going to start being up there with the all-time guys, especially if they do win a title this year, and he's got 2 MVPs, and he's got if he's got 2 MVPs and he's got 2 titles, it's going to be really hard to say, oh, yeah, he's not one of the greatest players ever. And Shea's amazing. But I just don't look at Shea. I don't look at Shea the same way I look at some of these other guys just because of play style. I was critical the same way with Harden, so I'm consistent in the way that I view this. Jokic, I just think, is a better basketball player than Shea. And a few weeks ago when they met in the regular season, he gave Wemby 40. So I still think Jokic right now, if gun to my head, you said best player in the NBA, I still think it's him. But this is how you lose that title. You have the phenomenon that is Victor Wembanyama and what he is able to do, and we'll see how long this playoff run goes, because here's the reality. The Spurs don't have a ton of playoff experience, which is normally it usually is a guaranteed way of, hey, look, you're not going to be good in the postseason if you have absolutely no playoff experience. But that's not going to apply, or those rules, you can't use common logic with the 7'5" alien who can shoot threes and is the best defender in the world already. Jokic has to have, if he wants to keep that title, And I get it. This is a thing for people like me and people in the media. Jokic probably doesn't give a rip if people think he's the best player alive. But if you're going to keep that title, you got to beat Minnesota. And if you beat Minnesota, you then have a second round series against Wembayama. And if you beat him, you will keep the title. I honestly think if Jokic were to beat the Spurs, because I don't think we think this Nuggets team is that good. I think I picked the Nuggets to all the way to the finals, and because I'm either the kiss of death because I also picked Giannis the year prior, and we saw how that went in Milwaukee. Has just totally been a dumpster fire, like even worse off than since I picked them. I picked Denver this year. Hasn't been a great first round series, but if you come back, you beat Minnesota, and then you go and you play and you do the kind of things that we have seen you do, and you beat the Spurs and Wemby, I think you absolutely keep your best player alive status. But that guy's coming for it. And I think him even more so than Shea. And people could say this is wrong or whatever. Just listen to the guys who play against both of them and the way they talk about it. When you play against Wemby, it's just like, man, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, call God, like, figure something out, like, pray. Like, it's just you can't do anything with him. Versus when you play against Shea, it's a lot of, well, it's the refs, and he's manipulating, and even the way their own peers view them. I think if Wemby has a deep playoff run, he's got a real chance to be the best player alive. Jokic, obviously, as great as Shea is, I think he'd have to. They would have to dominate the Spurs, and the Nuggets would have to lose in the first round for Shea to be the unanimous best player alive. Let's also talk about that first round. And I'm going to be really quick here. We started a few minutes late, so we got to make up the time. The first round of the playoffs doesn't need 7 games. And I know. That means Jokic would have already lost, and the Nuggets would already be out of contention. And if that was the case, so be it. They wouldn't deserve to be here anyway. The first round can go back to 5 games. We pretty much know who's the best team, and especially in a first round series, because besides the 4-5 historically, you're not going to have a ton of really close teams in the way that we view them. Like Detroit, yes, you would have already lost the series. Okay, you'd have deserved it. The Nuggets, if they would have already lost the series, they would have been upset. Okay, they would have deserved it. We only really need 5 games. The rest of this stuff is much more of a, it's all for, well, A, it's all for money. B, it just becomes this, it just turns it into this battle of attrition that you don't need after already playing an 82. You already play 82 games in the regular season. That's attrition. And I get it. And this is part of why I like there's load management and guys sitting out certain games and resting. But that's your attrition. Once you get to the playoffs, just show me who's the best, and you can get that done in the first round in 5 games. You do not need a 7 game series. Games four, like it's just no reason for it. Again, I know they're not going to give it up because there's money involved. You can sell more tickets, et cetera, and guys aren't going to want to take that away from their contracts. Devin Booker's about to get $260 million for the next 4 years. He's going to play that game four, even if it was essentially meaningless and they got swept by the Thunder. But we could get so much. We could be so much more productive. We could have such a better product. You put this to 5 games in the first round. Hell, I would even argue you could make the second round 5 games, and then you play 7 for the conference finals and 7 for the NBA finals. Like we just don't need 7, 7, 7, 7. It's just not necessary. Like just NBA, Adam Silver. I know there's a lot people are wanting you to do. You're talking about stuff with the lottery. You're talking about stuff with the draft. You're talking about stuff with like with the awards. Adam Silver, make the executive call. Do something, please. Like stand up, fight back. You're having a really bad year as a commissioner. Make the first round 5 games again. We don't need 7 game first series. Like the first round does not need to be 7 games. It just doesn't. Like I said, we did start a little bit late, but we got a lot more to talk about when we come back after the break. A draft of a team who we don't normally think of as a competent franchise, but maybe had the best draft in the entire NFL. Plus, why would he say that? And plenty more. This is HardFoul Radio, back momentarily. Draft in the entire NFL. Plus, why would he say that and plenty more? This is Hardfire Radio, back momentarily. And we are back. This is Hard Foul Radio. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. So, one of those things in the NFL, a lot of times, again, your quarterback is disproportionately important when it comes to evaluating your drafts and the overall roster of the team. And the Browns, the Browns are clearly a team who their quarterback situation is maybe the worst in the league. You've got Deshaun Watson, the worst contract in maybe the history of sports. Shador, we'll see how that turns out long term for him, but it's a really rough quarterback situation right now. But these last two drafts, one last year, you get the defensive rookie of the year, you get three other starters. The Browns this year, again, really solid draft. At least I don't really do draft day grades. I don't do who had quote unquote the best draft. I kind of just go by the really common and boring logic of did you do what you set to accomplish? And if you're a team like the Browns, that is fill as many roster spots as possible. Did you get better? Did you add more players? And I think the answer is unequivocally yes to all of these. What the Browns did was, again, you got four starters last year. You end up with multiple starters potentially this year. And, excuse me, like the Browns did what they needed to do. Yes. Do you still have issues at the quarterback position? Absolutely. Like there's no way around it. But are you now better off with? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. They got a little bit of a robot voice. Check one, check one. Okay, so you are far better off though now with multiple draft picks, with guys who are going to be able to step in and become starters, the same way he did last year. Again, Schlesinger, Graham, several guys who are able to step in. Like the Browns now, you have to consider they're one of the better drafting teams. Sorry, yeah, just trying to. We got some audio issues. There we go. Test. Mic check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Okay. There we go. All right. Now that we don't sound like a robot, apologize about that. So, we were talking about the Browns draft, and we're going to have to move on here. Moving on to my favorite part of the show. Why would he say that? And we got to address this. This is all the people that push back on the criticism of SGA. And the idea is when he's got a game like game 3 where he's incredible, doesn't shoot a lot of free throws, and they're like, oh, what are they going to say now? And really, this could be for the whole OKC Thunder team, for the fans that want to push back on the criticism. And listen, if you're a fan, fine. You just are going to push back on the criticism no matter what happens. I get that. Totally fine. Totally valid. Cool. There's people in the media who want to act like the Thunder are not a pretty borderline miserable product to watch. And they want to act like, oh, you're all just upset that your team's not this good. No. What is upsetting about the Thunder is the fact that you have a guy on defense who just routinely, his job is to, I guess, enforce / I'm just going to try to trip and injure every big-time player that I can, whether that is Devin Booker, whether that is the best player in the league at the time, Nikola Jokic, whether, it doesn't matter who it is, he is just out here trying to hurt people. And when it comes to Shea, here's the thing, and this is a line used on Twitter. I'm stealing it, but it makes sense. Games like Game 3 and a little bit like Game 4, I'll be honest, I didn't watch as much as Game 4 because once I knew they were most likely going to sweep the Suns, I was watching other games. But Game 3 specifically, that's what we wish we saw on a nightly basis. We acknowledge SGA is great. We acknowledge that Chet is an amazing defender. We acknowledge that this team is incredible without doing all of the extra dumb stuff. So cut out the extra dumb stuff. Please. Shea is amazing. 1,000%. He is one of the best offensive guards we've ever seen. This current stretch that he is on, this being his peak, as great as he's been playing, he's amazing. But play like that. Don't do the whole,
The second you start driving down, you lock your arm with somebody else and then flail and try to get the foul call. Like, that's not, like, what if that is your all-time highlight reel, is a bunch of lock arms, make the stupid face, fall over? And don't act like Shai's the first person we've criticized for this. Like, we criticized, me personally, Embiid has been criticized for this. I think that's some of Embiid's injury issues, is the fact that he's 7 foot and he's flopping around. Harden played like this. Like, guys that play like this, we don't view it the same, and acting like stylistically we don't view players differently because of the style in which they play, that's not new to him. That's not new to this team. The reality is, it's not a fun product to watch, no matter if you're rooting for them or against them. Fine, the Thunder are the best team in the league. I acknowledge that. But don't make my viewing experience and the way that you're playing basketball, don't make it this awful. Like, that's all we're asking for. Don't make it this awful. So when it comes to, again, this is the line from Twitter where it's like, well, we know Shai's great. But it'd be like if Sherlock Holmes was playing drugs on people. Like, be great. Don't do the theatrical stuff. Because then, similar to Devin Booker's comments in Game 3, it does feel a little WWE-ish. And let's be honest, because of the way that he plays, and because of that foul baiting and it feeling like the refs are involved, and players and coaches constantly having to call it out, let's just not act like this angle is not valid. It's a really bad look for the NBA if people feel like refs are more involved than they should be, and there's ref manipulation through play style for your potential first dynasty post gambling being mainstream. Like, that's not a good look. That's not a great that's not a great look for the NBA. And let's also kill this narrative while we're here. Oh, well, superstars get superstar calls. That's actually not true. Yes, superstars get to the free throw line, and that is a part of their play style. Like, Dwayne Wade used to attack them a lot. He got a lot of fouls. Go ask Mark Cuban, who will famously tell you about the finals and how it was rigged and how it was all ref manipulation. But the reality is, let's go look at our superstars. You think Jokic gets every call when people foul him? I watched the other day, Julius Randle literally just smacked Jokic for about 15 seconds straight on a play and basically dared the ref, hey, call something. Do you think LeBron got every call? Do you think Shaq got every call? Do you think Kobe got every call? Do you think Duncan got every call? Like, the reality is our superstars actually don't get as many calls as they should. And we feel like they should. Like, LeBron's been fouled a bunch, but because he's so strong, he just keeps going through it. Shai completely sells out for even minimal contact. And so if you try to play defense against them, or what feels like tougher defense, because Antonio Daniels said this, he went on the show with Lou Williams, Michelle Beatles, and Chandler Parsons, and he's just like, what's frustrating, and this goes to the superstar call thing, is if the Thunder want to play physical defense, fine. That's who they are. Caruso, Cason Wallace, SGA to a degree, Chad Holmgren, Lou Dort. If they want to play physical defense, fine. Let them play physical defense. But it's the problem when the other team is not also allowed to play physical defense against their guys. And they play physical as hell against Devin Booker's a superstar. You think Devin Booker got every call he was supposed to get just this series? Like, they've played other superstars and have not been able. Those superstars aren't getting the calls when they're playing the Thunder, even though the Thunder are playing just as physical with those superstars. They're basically playing Seattle Seahawks, and this is a valid way to play. They're basically playing like the Seattle Seahawks did in Legion of Boom, which is we're going to be extra physical and we are going to force the refs to call it. The problem is, if you're going to be extra physical, just be extra physical both ways. Don't sit there and be extra physical and then play into the theatrics of the refs on the offensive side. That's the frustrating part. Again, we all acknowledge SGA is amazing. We all acknowledge the Thunder are a great team. They're the best team in the league. They're probably going to be back-to-back champions. But don't piss on me and call it rain. Like, I have eyes. I can see the way that they're playing, and it's frustrating. It is it's a bad watch for the league. And again, superstars don't get every superstar call. And a ref manipulating superstar as your first dynasty or potential dynasty post gambling being mainstream It's a bad look. It just is. There's no other way around it. So, again, this is just, there's a lot of people, and they want to push back like, oh, when Shea has a great game. Like, yes, Shea could have great games all the time. He's a dominant offensive player. He scored 20 points in a game more often than Wilt. Although, go look at the game where Wilt's streak got broken, and it's Wilt Chamberlain is not a real person. We know that. So then just play like it. That's all we're asking. Play like the superstar that you are. Not this ref diving theatrical bullshit. Detroit has some issues, man. Detroit's down 3-1, and you are clearly seeing the lack of a scorer. Nick Young actually said this. Nick Young with a comment of the day, or a take of the day. Nick Young basically came out and said, look, man, don't tell me defense wins championships. Like, Detroit is a great defensive team, and they can't score worth a damn, and it's getting exposed, even against a team like the Magic, who are also not a great offensive team. But you're seeing the lack of scoring, the lack of ability to play make outside of Cade Cunningham. And Cade, you can tell he's turning the ball over more and more and more. He's had a game of 8 turnovers, 7 turnovers, 9 turnovers. He's pressing because he knows realistically, if he's not great, this offense has no chance. And even if you are the 2004 Detroit Pistons defensively, or the Detroit Pistons of the Bad Boys era, like, you're not going to hold modern NBA teams down to 80 points, 70 points, and winning games like that. Detroit has a true offensive issue, and being a 60-win team, like, it's not just that they're getting upset. A 60-win team losing in the first round does not happen often. And it's going to force Detroit to figure out real quickly, do we actually have guys who can figure it out? Do we have the right guys in the building? Because you're going to have to take a real hard look at this roster in the offseason. Are you going to keep Cade? Obviously, you're going to keep Cade, obviously, but you're going to keep guys like Jalen Duren and Thompson as future long-term pieces, even though it looks like their offensive ceilings are maybe not that high as they would have thought or hoped they could have been during the regular season or projecting into the future. Like, this is where, are you going to make the kind of mistakes? Because you got your superstar. Cade is absolutely a superstar, a first-team All-NBA type of player, a potential MVP candidate. You got the guy. But can you now get the right pieces around him? And screwing it up, especially screwing it up early, that could be absolutely devastating to his career. And so if you can't figure it out, and this series is going to make you look in the mirror, you got some issues, Detroit. I believe in you, but you got some issues. We got the audio fixed. This is HardFoul Radio. Back momentarily. And we are back. This is HardFoul Radio. So here's the thing: is sorry about that. I'll fix that. The LeBron has been absolutely amazing in this first round series against the Rockets. The fact they're in the position they're in, when nobody, myself included, realistically gave them a chance post Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic going down, is you got to give credit where credit is due. I think the only thing that's unfortunate here is that I don't know how remembered this series will actually be, and that's unfortunate for LeBron, because the thing that LeBron realistically loses the argument over, while I don't think the GOAT debate is as simple as just Jordan doesn't take championships, LeBron doesn't, it is definitely a factor. And LeBron having another great first round playoff series, again, this is like nobody gave the Lakers a chance. And at 41 years old, playing with his son, playing as well as he is, I know game 4 wasn't good, but playing as well as he has, and if they close out the Rockets tonight, this should be an all-time achievement. But because it's in the first round, we're just not going to view it that way, and that's unfortunate for him. But I also think that's just the reality. But again, no Luka, no Austin Reeves. I know Kevin Durant's been out, but the Rockets have the majority of the best players in this series. They should comfortably win this series. And for LeBron to be as good as he's been, props to him. Like, it's just, you will put, I'm 31. I'm probably going to go the rest of my life and never see a 40-year-old athlete this great again. And I've gotten to see both Brady and LeBron, which is just one of those things that I got spoiled. I got two of the greatest athletes ever at the early part of my life. I might not ever see Brady again. I might not ever see LeBron again. Like, it's absolutely incredible what they've been able to do, the kind of performance they've been able to put up. It is two of the greatest athletes of all time, and I got to see both before turning 30. But again, I don't know how much this is going to help LeBron. If LeBron believes, and I'm not even sure this is really LeBron's mindset. If LeBron believes he can catch Mike, then the way you do it is having dominant postseason runs, but they just can't exist only in the first round. So, shout out to LeBron. He's been absolutely incredible. No one gave him a chance. They're going to win this series going away, essentially. Incredible feat at 41 years old. When we get back to start hour 2, our take of the week. This is HardFoul Radio. And we are back for the start of hour 2. This is HardFoul Radio. This is the show that values time, puts God first. Appreciate y'all for joining with me this morning. So something I want to start doing on Wednesday is a take of the week segment where I basically I have these ideas in my head and I don't want to reserve them for the very end of the show because I'm aware of how retention works and the reality is you're probably not going to listen to them. But if I highlight them the second hour of every Wednesday as a recurring segment, for take of the week, I think there's a better chance to get these ideas across, as well as we're also, and I'm hoping the first one comes out Sunday, doing some scripted content for the first time. In some of these bigger sports conversations I don't think need to necessarily be. I have a problem when it comes to injecting bigger conversations in a daily show, and I don't want to do that. So I want to make sure that I give those a space to exist, which will be on Sundays. But something like this, where it's in the moment, it's relevant, and I just believe it is the biggest thing I could say this week. So, I didn't want to do it on Monday or Tuesday because, let's be honest, Monday, we're all just trying to figure out what the hell happened over the weekend. Tuesday, you're just finally kicking back. Wednesday, it's hump day. We finally feel like you're a real personing in today. So, what better way than to start off our inaugural take of the week than with the guy we started the show off with, and the guy who demonstrated everybody last night just how dominant he can be is Victor Wembanyama. And here's my thought. This is our take of the week regards to Victor Wembanyama. So Victor Wembanyama last week won unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. And it was the least controversial thing ever. You honestly had to figure out, was it more you honestly had to figure out, okay, who was actually the second best defender this year? And the correct answer was Chet Holmgren, who was a great defender, was great for OKC. They had the best defense in the league, and it was like voting for anybody but Victor was meaningless. It had no true value. It was like he was, like Tony said, I'm going to steal his line, first place was Wemby, second place was Victor. Like, that's how dominant he was when it came to Defensive Player of the Year. And that got me to thinking. Is Victor, for all the things we think he can do, we think he has a chance to be one of the greatest players of all time. We think he has a chance to win multiple championships. We think he is the de facto Defensive Player of the Year for every year that he's going to hit 65 games if that rule continues to exist. But have we ever thought about the long-term impact of him being so welcomingly considered unanimous for this award? And that is Victor's unanimous Defensive Player of the Year going to lead us to a situation where we finally stop putting such a taboo on unanimous MVPs? Meaning, if the Spurs consistently are around that high 50s, 60 win tier, and Victor is clearly the best Defensive Player of the Year, and let's say his offense, right now he's around 24 a game this regular season, let's say his offense gets him to 27, 28 a game, where he's clearly the best player, he's clearly the best player on defense, he's clearly the most impactful, is he going to change the way we view unanimous MVPs? Where there's just always been some weird rule amongst sports writers that you can't be a unanimous MVP even if you are clearly the best player, even if you are clearly the most impactful. LeBron didn't win as many MVPs as he should have. Mike didn't win as many MVPs as he should have. Shaq and Kobe only having one is a damn shame. I think Wembanyama, because there is such an acceptance because of his height, his build, his body size, these unique attributes that exist solely to him, I think there's a real chance that not just the unanimous Defensive Player of the Year awards that he's going to rack up, I think you're going to see him rack up unanimous MVPs, and he is going to change the mind. Now, maybe it only applies to him, and I'm fully willing for that to be a thing. Maybe we're only going to accept, because he's so unique, that this only applies to him. The same way there was a lot of, this only applies to him rules when it came to somebody like Shaq. Because Shaq was so big, so fast for his size, like he was such a unique physical person that it was like, Shaq of course breaks all the rules. He's 7 foot, 330 pounds, and he's running up and down the court. Wemby is a chance to change the record books. Again, Wilt doesn't have as many MVPs as he should for as long as he was statistically dominating the league. Jordan doesn't have as many MVPs. LeBron doesn't have as many MVPs. Kobe and Shaq only have one. Steph has the unanimous MVP. And some of Steph's traits that helped him get unanimous was the fact of it was all obvious to us once he entered his prime, this is the greatest shooter we've ever seen. That's been undisputed with Steph Curry before he had the three-point record, since he had the three-point record. Like, he is the greatest shooter we've ever seen in our life. And he's probably the greatest shooter you're ever going to see in your lifetime. Wemby is already potentially the best defender any of us have ever seen. Again, that game last night, Portland couldn't even generate offense. It's not just the block shots. It's not just the steals. It's the fact that grown men, professional athlete, NBA players, guys who have played basketball their entire life, are looking at this 7'5" alien and going, oh yeah, I got nothing for him. I'm not even going to shoot the ball because I'm just going to swat it into the sixth row. Wemby's so good. Wemby has a second nickname, Area 51, and we don't even talk about it because it's just easier and cooler to call him Wemby. But I truly believe that if we're willing to concede the unanimous Defensive Player of the Year awards to this guy because of how dominant he's been, I don't think we're that far off from conceding, oh yeah, he's going to be unanimous MVP several times. And again, maybe this is something that's just going to be unique to him. But once you break down that wall and you give somebody the unanimous MVP, it's not like when Shaq got one vote shy of it, it was like, okay, yeah, somebody's going to get this. Like if Shaq is a vote shy of being unanimous MVP, it puts it on everybody's radar. It puts it on everyone's peripheries, and it's like, okay, can someone be so dominant? Can someone be so amazing that there's clearly not even a close second opinion? And again, if Wemby, the only thing you can really say when it comes to the MVP conversation that he doesn't quite have is the points. If he starts playing regular minutes, and assumedly that should happen next year, if he starts getting regular minutes and he gets you 27 a night and he's getting you double-digit rebounds and he's got 4 or 5 blocks and he's clearly the most impactful defensive player. Now he's the best two-way player. He's the best defensive player. He's giving you top 10 offense. And the Spurs are winning high 50s, low 60 games. How is he not the MVP? That's going to become the conversation. And let's also use this. And this is the one thing that I think kind of slowed it down for LeBron a bit, is Wemby is super likable even to the common fan. LeBron, and I don't think it's fair, but LeBron, when he went to Miami and he became the villain, while he did collect another MVP, you saw the narrative around LeBron change. And once he started changing teams from Cleveland to Miami to back to Cleveland to the Lakers, like he clearly, the narrative around LeBron James and his likability to the common fan clearly was warped, clearly had changed. Wemby is going to be the easiest player in the world to like. He has already started with, I want to play hard in all-star games. I want to play every night. Now, he knows there's a minute restriction. The Spurs will be held about his health, but once he's established, which it seems like he is now, I'm not really counting the concussions, kind of more of a freak thing, but like he is, as an established player, like he wants to play every night. He wants to play hard in the all-star game. He talks about ethical basketball. He talks about the way he plays. People like block shots. People like dunks. He's going to give you plenty of those. He can shoot the three ball. Again, Shaquille O'Neal, who's never said anything nice about a big man since he stopped playing. And we've had some great ones. Dwight Howard, a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner. Joel Embiid, an MVP. Jokic, like he does not, unless he thinks he can use it to up himself, he's not in the business of talking nice about other big men. And even Shaq last night was like, I got to concede. I really love watching him play. It's like I normally like watching big men who are, back to the basket, like old school post players. Like, but Wemby is so great at what he does. I love watching it. Shaq, of all people, was like, this guy's got it. So how much longer until the voters are in line? The fans are already going to love him. His team's already going to be dominant. If they go on and win a title, he's going to have the best argument for best player alive. And again, I brought this up a few weeks ago, he is the prototypical, of course he's the best basketball player alive. Basketball is a sport about height. As somebody who's 6'9", I was asked all the time, did you play basketball? Did you play basketball? Did you play basketball growing up? It is the most football, there's a bunch of big guys. Not every big guy is asked if they play football. Baseball has no true body type. There's a bunch of people who play baseball, different body types. You have Aaron Judge, Jose Altuve. There's a whole bunch of body types in between. But in basketball, height is a determining factor. And the 7'5" international guy who's dunking on people, blocking shots, shooting threes, the common fan will love him. The diehard fan already knows how great he is. He's already considered the best defensive player of the year award. Again, a unanimous defensive player of the year award. How long until Wemby starts racking up unanimous MVPs? And I think the answer is next year. I think next year we have a realistic shot at Wemby being a unanimous MVP, a unanimous defensive player of the year award, and the Spurs will have a real shot at becoming back-to-back champions and the next dynasty in the NBA. The league is his. We've all seen it. We all know it in the back of our heads. You know, whether you're a fan of the Knicks, the Pistons, the Celtics, the Thunder, the Nuggets, like whatever team you root for, whatever superstar you watch, we all know it's the league's running through this guy. And it's going to be a lot sooner than you think. Take it a week. This is HardFoul Network, HardFoul Radio, back momentarily. And we are back. This is HardFoul Radio. Appreciate everybody hanging out with me today. Don't forget, we're going to be live 4:30 p.m. I know this thing says right here, this is when HardFoul is. No, I got to change this because we're not at that time anymore. But the ability, not the ability, what am I talking about? Well, Group Chat Podcast is going to be live today, 4:30 to 6 Pacific Standard Time. Tony, Will, and I are going to be talking about Michael, going to be talking about Views, which turns 10 years old. So don't forget to come hang out with us. Group Chat Podcast, please go like and subscribe. A&M Podcast will be out tomorrow night. That's Matt and I discussing hopefully chapter 1182 of One Piece. So really looking forward to that. Sorry about some of the inconsistent shows. It's to get everything actually in order. It's tough. And so it's the reality of trying to balance everything right now. The other thing too is like we're cutting down to an hour and a half a show right now. Like it's pretty much 5 to 6:30 every morning. I still have a job. I got stuff I got to do, as well as just trying to make this as well. Trying to make some production changes here. Obviously, again, started off pretty rough this morning with the episode and the audio being messed up. So I do want to apologize for that. But the goal is Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 6:30, be able to get you out, get you an intro, get you a good little middle segment, get you a close out there. And then we got Take of the Week, we got Power Rankings, we got a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to go over here, pulling up my notes, as well as I'm trying to go live. So on Sundays, one of the things I'm trying to introduce, again, is some more scripted content. And so it's these bigger, grand ideas that I don't think belong in the context of a daily show. So the one that I'm hoping to get out this Sunday, or worst case next Sunday, is it's a Kobe Bryant video, and it's basically why we never agree on, why we'll never be able to agree on Kobe Bryant's placement all time in the NBA hierarchy. And it's a lot of stuff between personal, his impact, his influence, the reputation, the mentality, and how do we judge those things historically? How do we look back on that era? And Kobe's just one of those guys that it's like, for a lot of people, he's top 3. A lot of people, he's top 5. Some people, he's barely top 10. Some people have him outside the top 10. I think that's insane. But like Kobe is just, he's one of the few players like LeBron. You know where LeBron stands in the NBA hierarchy. Like he's a top 2 player. I think for any rational person, he's a top 2 player ever. You want to say he's the GOAT? Cool. I'm not going to argue with you. You want to say he's the second best player ever? I agree with you. Jordan is unanimously held as the GOAT. Like a lot of these guys, Magic is a consensus top 5 guy. Even someone like Tim Duncan, I don't think is as polarizing, even though, because I don't think Duncan, who just turned 50, happy birthday to him. He is a guy who, yes, he is a consensus top 10 guy. He's a fringe top 5 guy, but I think he's pretty consistent between 6 to 8. I don't think there's a lot of controversy there. He's got 5 championships. He's one of the 3 greatest defenders ever, in my opinion, post Bill Russell. So modern NBA. Like Tim Duncan's spot is pretty clear and concise. But Kobe's just one of those. Like, he is maybe the most polarizing player to rank. So I'm gonna discuss that. Hopefully that video again. If it doesn't come out this Sunday, it'll be out next Sunday. Just kind of going through here again. Let me try to find this real quick. So before I let you guys go, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, oh yeah, here we go. So we are gonna have our top 10 will be so generally how it works, just so everybody's aware if you're new here. On Mondays is a hard right, hard left. We look at the last week, see what I got wrong, see what I got right. On Tuesdays will be our power rankings, our top 10s. They obviously change per the season of the sport. Wednesday is, the take of the week. Thursdays is, I want to reframe debates, and I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do this one. But We'll see. And then Friday, right now, Dre will be joining us on Fridays, so that interview will always take place on Fridays. And then Thursdays, we're kind of leaving up to. I got a couple different things I want to try on Thursdays. Honestly, I'm not sure what's going to stick, but again, these 5 to 6:30s, group chat podcast live every Wednesday, 4:30 to 6 p.m. 4:30 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's obviously tonight. And then Matt and I don't go live, but you will get that episode of A&M. It will always hit your inbox or your uploads. We record on Thursdays, so my goal is to always put it out Friday. Now, last week we had to change because of the NFL draft, but you should always get A&M podcast Fridays. I don't want it to come out at the same time, actually, now that I think about it. It'll probably come out Thursday, 7 p.m. So, and then a little night release. But really excited about that. Really excited about the direction things are going. Appreciate anybody that's been here for the journey. Anyone that's, again, if you have just watched on YouTube, the TikToks, a lot more stuff will be uploaded, a lot more stuff going through. If you're just an audio listener, these shows are about an hour. If you watch the whole thing, about an hour and a half. Again, it's more production. Going to have commercials starting next week. A lot of really cool stuff, but we do have to cut back from 5 to 6:30. Again, I still got a job to go to. I got animals who are looking at me right now. They got to go on walks and stuff like that. So, but really excited for the future, man. Really excited and grateful for what's already been accomplished here. Over 1,000 subscribers, the ability to build our own little community here. Appreciate you guys so much. A few more minutes here before we wrap up. Again, just kind of rehashing some of the stuff we've already been talking about today. Jokic's best player alive status is 1,000% on the line. Wemby is coming for it, and he is here. But if Jokic, again, if you can beat the Timberwolves, which you should, no DiVincenzo, who's out for the year, unfortunately. Anthony Edwards is out for at least the remainder of this series. If you can come back, even though you're down 3-2, no one's going to call it an impressive or all-time comeback. But the reality is you got to get it done. Minnesota without a starting backcourt. And then how do you play against the Spurs? Can you hold off? I think probably mid next year. If Wemby continues what he's doing, he's gonna be the unanimous best player. But Jokic can hold on to that a little bit longer if he does exactly this, which is come back against the Timberwolves and then beat the Spurs. I think that's a real argument. SGA doesn't need to play to the refs. Like, it just doesn't need to be a thing. It doesn't need to happen. I don't want to hear about the superstars and superstar calls and what do they want to do? Like, play like a regular basketball game. That's what I want you to do. Can you do that? Play a regular basketball game. There's no other star player in history that we look at and go, oh, this is what it looks like when an all-time player is playing, and you're about to be a 2-time champion potentially. You're most likely a 2-time MVP. Play like the best basketball player on the planet, which you absolutely have an argument for. And, of course, our take of the week. I think Wemby's going to start racking up unanimous MVPs, man. I think it's going to happen. We already feel confident he's going to start racking up unanimous Defensive Player of the Year awards. Like, he is on his way to being an all-time great player already. And that's just, it's his world. We're just living in it. So, again, appreciate everybody for listening. Appreciate everybody for coming and hanging out with me this morning. I will see